Hey everyone, welcome to the premiere episode of podcast series Beyond Logistics by fleetx. I'm your host Pankaj Bajaj. I'm heading strategic alliances and special project here at fleetx, and I'm thrilled to have all of you join us today. We have a very special guest with us, Head of Surface Transportation and Trucking at Maersk, Mr. Jitendra Kapoor. Mr. Kapoor had an illustrious career, having held leadership position in renowned companies like DHL, Rivigo, Airtel, and Etisalat. We are honored to have you here today, sir, with us.
Thank you. I'm equally thrilled to be part of this podcast. It is great to be with some great minds amongst you here.
No, it's a pleasure, sir. And when we were searching for our first host, we really wanted that somebody from Musk should join us. That was our dream come true for us now. Thank you so much once again. And in today's episode, we'll be delving into the fascinating world of logistics,
Hmm.
exploring new opportunities, and gaining valuable insights from experience of Musk and Mr. Kapoor. Everybody knows about Musk, but just to give you a context, it's a global shipping and transportation giant with over 110,000 employees, operating an impressive fleet of 700 plus container vessels across 130 countries. With more than 100,000 satisfied customers, which is a huge number in itself, and over 7 million square meters of warehousing space, Musk's influence in the logistic industry is unparalleled. Moreover, their commitment to become carbon neutral by 2040 sets a powerful example for sustainability in this sector. And now moving on to the main thing, sir. What is the main action thing happening in Musk right now? That is my first question to you, to know what is the real things happening with you in your department specifically.
Okay, so last year we embarked upon the journey of building domestic transportation business in IBS. In IBS, in our terminology, is South Asia, India, Bangladesh, and Sri Lanka. So we are
Okay.
setting up. Maersk came with a vision in 2019 with an integrator vision. Integrator vision is, where customers came to us and said, we want Maersk to serve us end to end. From the production center to the consumption center, we should be able to serve our customers. And for this, the transportation plays a very important piece in the country. So we have been setting up our full truckload business, part truckload business, and last mile and e-commerce business in India, and we have been quite successful in this. We are loved by our customers that are mix of multinational and the Indian enterprise, and we are growing at a very healthy rate here in India.
Sure. And just to as mentioned, customer was asking for these services. What are
Mhm.
the typical advantages you think Musk offering end-to-end solution is able to give to the customers?
I think the visibility is the most important piece which a customer gets when it does an end-to-end service. And also, rather than speaking with multiple logistic companies, multiple partners, when you work with Musk, your end-to-end is sorted out. If you have let's say a factory in Europe, through our train service, we can connect it to a port. Through our ship, we would be able to bring into India. We have a
Yeah.
port in Nava Shiva. We can store the material there from our trailers. We can deliver to the Maersk warehouse or to your warehouse. And from there, from a trucking service, we can deliver to the your trader or a distributor. And from there, by using our electric fleet, we can deliver to the last mile to the customer. In between, we also have our air services, and we have a host of other value added services that we give to the customer. So the customer gets an end to end visibility where the cargo is moving from which country to which, and all the points get captured out here. And second, you are only speaking with one company rather than speaking of multiple companies out here. So ease of doing business becomes a very important piece.
No, sure. Being from a logistic background myself, I can understand one POC for end-to-end is one of the key things, and visibility, as you completely said.
Mm.
One more discussion point I wanted to have with you, sir, is logistics is a significant contributor to carbon emission. As I
Mm.
previously introduced in Musk that you are trying to be carbon neutral by 2040. I read on Musk's website that 3.5 billion tons of carbon emission happens through logistics, out of which 1% is part of, Musk plays a role in that. And
Mm.
overall, it's 0.1% when we compare to other carbon emission outside of logistics sector.
Mm.
You are also investing a lot in electric freight in India. How do
Mhm.
you plan to achieve these ambitious goals by 2040 with all the new things you are doing?
Okay, so Musk is a continuous supporter of a green and cleaner fuel. And in fact, we have fast forwarded our net zero carbon emission by a decade. So earlier it was 2050, and now we said we
Yeah.
will get net carbon zero by 2040. It's a very
Mhm.
high, ambition carbon neutral target. I tell you about what we are doing globally, and then I come to the India. So we
Sure.
have recently purchased some 25 Volvo trucks in Germany, and we
Mhm.
have also launched e-truck services in Norway and Sweden. Also in California, we have bought 126 Volvo truck with INRID, and we plan to take these trucks to 300 level. As we speak, our first green methanol vessel is moving from Copenhagen. Is moving from Copenhagen. So it is covering. You, just we'll hold for a while. Okay, and then we start.
Sure.
Okay. And as we speak, one of our green methanol vessel, which is first of its kind globally, is sailing from South Korea to Denmark and covering China and Egypt. So hence we are covering Asia, Africa, and Europe in our air freight. In Maersk Air, we use sustainable aviation fuel. And also the biofuel, what we are using in the ships these are the second generation biofuel. Talking about electric vehicle adoption in the country. In September last year we launched our EV. We launched the EV services in the country. We launched with our three wheelers and the four wheelers, and as we speak we have some major deployments happening, and we are having close to more than 300 plus electric vehicles which are running across pan India. And recently we have also launched our EV bikes in Delhi NCR, which are running and delivering it to the customer.
Yeah, I'm sure we are also seeing a lot of blue in the our logistic ecosystem in India. And every time you see Musk, I have worked in JNPT port for about a year, so I know like the blue when things I see, it's all about Musk. Uh, Coming on to just to add up question on electric vehicles, the demand for electric vehicles is on the rise as everybody is seeing this.
Mm.
What factor underpin this demand in India, and how can Musk and other shippers accelerate their investment in electric freight, or what kind of support is needed?
Uh, you have asked a very, very interesting question. The most important thing is, around the electric vehicle is, people think it's only about the EV, but it is not about the EV. It's about creating a complete ecosystem in the country. When I spoke about the complete ecosystem, so let's start from the multiple points. The cost of ownership of the EV. When you buy a EV, a normal EV is 2 or 2.5 times of, I'm talking about the commercial vehicles out there to be very,
Sure.
very specific. So the cost of ownership is high. Whereas when you buy a IC or a fossil fuel vehicle, you don't go and set up the fuel stations across. But now when you buy a commercial vehicle, then you also have to come and set up the charging infrastructure around it. The third thing is the driver training, because all the drivers that you get in the market, they are trained on driving a fossil fuel vehicle. If between you and me, if we are driving our fossil fuel vehicle, if we go and start driving the electric vehicle, a lot of electric vehicle will lose charge, because there's a way of driving it, there's a way of keeping it. So we also need to train the drivers how to drive the EVs, how to upkeep the EVs, when to charge, how to charge. And then the other thing which is underpinning the demand in the country is the uh, loans from the commercial bank and financial institution. This forms a very, very important piece. If I go and buy a normal truck, all the banks would compete for it. You will get a truck at a very, very low interest rate. Your PSU banks would also participate, and they will loan it out for 5 to 7 years. So, a logistic company was able to amortize the cost of a vehicle over a period of time. But when you go and want to finance for the EV, a large number of banks are not interested. And the banks which are giving you loans, that comes at a high interest rate, and the loan is only given on the 3 years, because somehow there's a conception in the industry, the life of the battery is for the 3 years. So all these things put together, the cost of ownership, putting up a charging infrastructure, creating an ecosystem around it, the cost of financing it, and the driver management is all these things are creating roadblocks for high adoption of EVs in India. You know, uh, we have seen a lot of challenges around this. That's why we see larger OEMs have still not introduced large EV trucks. Large announcements are missing from the market.
No, I was also in a commercial vehicle forum event in Pune last month, and I saw that these similar problems were being raised by experts of the logistics industry. And when our honorable Minister of Transportation, Mr. Gadkari, came, and he listened, he knows about all these problems, and I think government is putting a lot of efforts to solve the problem. And I am based out of this conference, viewpoint, I was very confident in next 5 to 10 years, it will be landscape will be ready, everything will be ready, and we will be moving towards being 100% electric nation by 2050 or so.
Yeah, see, I was also there last week in the G20 meeting, which happened in Goa on the electric vehicle. And these were the few points which I proposed to the policymakers and to the OEMs. The
Mhm.
first most important thing is, all the electric vehicles, you remember the era of 90s when you had Nokia, BlackBerry, Motorola, and each mobile phone has a different charging slot. Today,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
EVs are
yeah.
facing the same. OEM 1, OEM 2, OEM 3, all OEMs have a different charging slot. So there is a charging station out there. But when someone is taking a commercial vehicle, they have to install a new charging station because you are not able to use the socket. So the first important thing from the OEM is they need to have a universal charging slot. And then government also need to start mandating all the existing fuel stations need to have at least two charging stations for passenger as well as commercial vehicles. So the adoption would increase. And for commercial vehicle adoptions, I'm not talking about the subsidies, but around the incentives. So certain incentives can be done by government, like making the toll free. So the adoption increase, making no entry as free. All these things would help to uptake the of commercial EV vehicles in the country to next level.
Yeah, you have given some valuable insights on how government can incentivize without building any other infrastructure by giving tolls free or other such freebies to the operators. You are managing a lot of countries in surface transportation at Maersk. Do you see any comparison with other countries where EV segment is picking up, or certain policies around it, or something you wanted to see in India, or where India is doing better than other countries?
See, I feel that in the three-wheeler segment, India
Mhm.
is doing pretty well as compared to the other countries. But when you talk about a technological innovation into the larger truck category, we are not doing that great. Countries like US and the several parts of Europe have got heavy duty trucks which are already up and running. Whereas you speak about India, though we have seen a lot of prototypes, but all the large manufacturers, large OEMs, which controls the 80 to 90% of the market, still they have not announced launch of EV trucks in the country. So we have seen that space which is a complete vacuum. Second, a lot of discussion is happening about on the prototypes or a retrofit truck. You take the engine out from the IC vehicle and put the battery back. But prototype to production is taking our time. We worked with some 2 3 OEMs out there. We did some trials, but a prototype is one thing. But when you want to do and discuss about a commercial production, that is not happening. So I believe India needs to do a lot of catch up on the heavy truck piece, because this is one space where we can do, you have dedicated freight corridors. Why can't we have something like a electric freight corridors? Let's say your truck has a range of 200 kilometers. Bombay Pune is a perfect example. You can run an electric truck in 200 kilometers, heavy duty trucks, or something like Bangalore Chennai. Pick up few places, or let's say Delhi, Jaipur, 2 3 places, make them into electric freight corridor, run these trucks around this, and do these testing, and it will give a lot of confidence to the customers, to the OEMs, and to logistics company to take a dip into this.
Very well explained. I think a lot of stakeholders in the industry, including the government, needs to come together and make a joint plan how we can achieve these small pilots and then eventually roll out the whole scale model in the country. Thank you so much for this answer, sir. Moving on to my next point, I wanted to ask you. Digitization, as you see, is driving the logistic industry. There are a lot of enterprises and transporters are moving toward digitized software like our own fleetx and similar
Mhm.
other TMS. What do you think is the role of TMS, transportation management system, and it can help in the digitization of the enterprise level client, somebody like Musk?
See, I believe today customer look technology as a very, very basic hygiene factor. In my mind, I'm very, very clear. This is not a value added services. This is a basic hygiene factor. Customer wants to know the life journey of a cargo or a life journey of a consignment, from planning to indenting to loading to unloading and to billing. So, and with the advent of e-commerce and hyper local, the technology has become very, very important. You pick up your phone, you order a grocery, you pick up your phone, you order a t-shirt or a mobile phone. So everything is getting driven to a technology. So that's why I'm saying it's a very, very basic hygiene factor. And we see a lot of challenges, not in the e-commerce sector and hyperlocal. Think e-commerce and hyperlocal were the early adopters of the technology, but a lot of technology needs to flow into the full truckload business. Now, a large part of India trucking business is very, very unorganized. There are more than 80% of the truckers which own less than 4 to 5 trucks. So there is a challenge. These truckers, how would they invest on a technology? Is there a platform which takes and gives technology on a OPEX way? GPS is one thing, but I'm talking about a technology interface for a driver, a technology interface for a transport company owner, and a technology interface for a customer. Until unless people come on this technology, things will not move out. So we see a lot of challenge out there at a overall market level, because market is very unorganized. But I keep on meeting large number of customers during my visits, and one thing which is very coming clear out from large number of meetings, customers are now looking for technology, customers are now looking for TMS. I met customers, they say they want to do consolidation, they want to move from unorganized to an organized marketplace, where they want to see the entire life journey of the consignment. They want live visibility of everything. They want to have predictive analysis. If the consignment is getting late, they want to be informed about it on a proactive basis rather a reactive basis.
Sure.
And people want to do a lot of API integrations into TMS, where they want to do a billing, they want to do a e-way bill, and many other things which is happening. So times are really exciting out here.
No, great. It's a very important point. That is why fleetx, in general, we have been developing three different softwares over time: fleet
Mhm.
management system, a transportation management system, and a transporter ERPs. All these three integrated will solve all the problem you just mentioned. And we are also seeing a shift in large corporates, like in some of the cement manufacturers we are working with. They are able to implement our system on their large transporters and all their various transporters, eventually bringing them onto the technology platform, which normally would not have been possible if we go out and reach out to different small transporters, as you rightly mentioned.
Yeah, I would like to congratulate the fleetx team out here to come as one of the enablers and changing this technology to a great extent and supporting the industry.
No, thank you so much, and it is always a pleasure to be associated with you yourself, Musk, and your new division which you are launching, to be part of that journey. Uh, my father used to be a driver on Bombay Kanpur highway for almost 17 years. I have seen, when I was small, I have seen him, coming back home very tired because of long journeys. Driver management is also a very crucial aspect, because in India, it will take some time for autonomous vehicles to come here because of the various factors,
Mm.
including external as well as internal. Musk being a leader in all the things they do, Are there any specific things you are doing for driver life improvement or betterment of their life? Anything specific you are planning? Because now you are moving towards having your fleet and working end-to-end integrated solutions.
Uh, I'll take this question in two parts. I think
Sure.
what you are saying is completely right. The country and the globally also we see a lot of crunch around the driver because a lot of work has not gone in improving the life of the drivers. Drivers are generally out from their home for more than 20, 21 days driving and coming back, living on the road, eating on the road, which is affecting their health. So I believe a lot of work need to be done on this space to improve the quality of life. That's why we see the younger generation is not going into a long haul driving. We see a
Sure.
trend, people taking a short haul driving, people moving towards e-commerce logistics, people moving towards as bikers in Zomato, Swiggy, and few other companies rather than doing a long haul trucking. So a long haul trucking is losing its charm. At Musk, the security comes at a very, very important piece. So we keep on doing a lot of driver trainings. Like currently, the monsoon is ongoing in the entire country. So we have done a training on the monsoon, how to drive in the monsoon, how to keep a safe distance out there. So driver training forms a very, very important part in the Musk. Then there are various schemes which we keep on coming in times for our drivers out here. So ensuring that their life improves.
Sure. No, and just to, people who will be listening to this conversation, all the GPS providers, including fleetx, which is a very advanced software, they have driver analytics. All the companies should at least put, like Musk definitely puts, larger company like Shell and all put, but I would request to all our listeners who are from mid-category fleet owner segment to see this data, have some gaps for a driver, give them breaks between longer journeys, and track their complete end-to-end monthly work trips to see how better their life can be. Moving
In
on to
fact,
the
you're very,
yeah
very right because we are also using those driver analytics. So a drowsiness alert is one of the feature that we use. If a driver is driving for more than 4, 5 hours, we give them the break.
yeah.
So with the help of technology, we are also using to improve the life of the drivers and ensuring safety for them on the road.
And I was just going through a report where I saw that in India, almost 450,000 accidents happens in a year. Let's take 50% are from commercial side. It's almost 225 accident, which gives loss of material, loss of life. Loss of life cannot be compared.
Mm.
This were the similar statistics in US before dashcam became popular around 15, 12 years back. And India is also, we are seeing as fleetx, we have our own dash cams. We are seeing customer interest being generated in dash cam solutions now because, a lot of accidents can be controlled if you have a right control room and the right equipment placed on trucks. Moving on to the last question, sir, for this podcast. Cost reduction is a common goal for government and enterprises. Where do you believe the real work is happening in achieving these objectives? We are talking in terms of transportation cost. As in most of the events we go, we hear that India's transportation cost versus GDP is around 14%. We have to bring down to 10%. What all, and you have been managing a very, very large operation inside Musk, and previously have done that at DHL, Revigo, and other places. What do you think is the real value things people can do or companies like us can do to actually reduce the cost?
See, I feel the work has already started, and I'm a very big fan of dedicated freight corridor. Talking about the India Rail network, we have a 68,000 kilometers of the rail network, which is the fourth largest in the world. And you just compare by the figures, in 1950, the freight share of the rail used to be at 83%, and by 2011, it dropped to 35%. Now with dedicated freight corridor coming in, because we also run our train services, the benefits it has added. The trains, the earlier on this rail network, the freight and the passenger train used to share the same network. Now with the dedicated freight corridor, The freight network is separated from the passenger train. Now the freight trains which are running on the freight corridors can be up to 1.5 kilometers long. The train speed has increased 3x times from 24 kilometer to 80 kilometer, and it is on an uprise. And even the per ton load capacity has increased to 13k thousand tons versus 5,004 tons. So all these factors put together helps in decreasing your logistics cost, because you are able to carry more material at a faster speed with a predictive SLA. Even on a Western Freight corridor, Maersk is running a double stack train. So a container on a container is kept, and it is run. So you are able to carry much more material. Going by our internal numbers, the transit time, we ran a train from Dadri to a Pipavav port. The transit time got reduced from 72 hours to 35 hours. you know so this dedicated freight corridor is helping to reach much faster at a lower cost. So I believe dedicated freight corridor is a great example where government has taken initiatives. Then our honorable prime minister has launched Gati Shakti Yojana. We see a lot of work action around this. Then government did a good thing some few years back, is the axle load change of the vehicle. So they have increased the load carrying capacity for the truck types. And then toll came in, GST came in. So all these things are helping us to make logistics a more increasing important function out there. I think we'll wait for 4 seconds. Yeah. you know Few years back, government did a great initiatives in terms of bringing in the fast tag, where the toll gets automatically deducted. It helps to the movements of good at a much faster pace. Axle load change happen, increasing the load of the trucks. All these factors putting together along with dedicated freight corridors is helping to bring down the cost of the logistics from 14 to 10% what we are chasing. So the work has already started, and a lot more things as we speak is happening. So I am pretty sure in next coming years we'll see a lot of movement around this, and we see the cost of logistics going down.
Oh, thank you so much for this information. Also, I never knew that dedicated freight corridor had a speed 3x of what the normal speed used to be. And what you have rightly mentioned, these 4 5 things which government as well as private, and also I would congratulate all the private organization for investing in the rail transportation by
Mm.
buying wagons or dedicated, using the corridors actually. Once the platform is built, you have to have users, and users like Maersk and all the large corporates around there are putting in their efforts to reduce the cost. Also, it helps in safety. Number of accident reduces because of rail transportation. So this is it from our side, and thank you so much, Mr. Kapoor, for finding time out of your very busy schedule and sharing valuable insight with us today. It has been an enlightening discussion, and we have gained deeper understanding about what Musk is trying to do to improve the logistic ecosystem of India.